take a screenshot of this and just note this, right? And say, well, if the 200 period moving average is above price and we get some sort of W, we're probably going to bang into that 200 period moving average and it's going to stop price, because that's what 200 moving average does. You can see it repeatedly. But now all those moving averages now are actually support. So if you come in and buy this, you've got all of these moving averages acting as support here. If we look at things like the altcoins, I suppose you could have bought that W in here, but Brian, right? I'm a cheap ass. I like to buy the bottom end of the range, or I like to see a really well-defined bot. I can't really buy that. If I was long, there was my level, and why I didn't pull the trigger there, I'm not quite sure. If I can't buy down at my BFFs, then I probably really shouldn't be buying. And a lot of these names have actually perked up quite a bit off of the lows, so I don't really want to chase now. There is a number of names that I would be willing to buy. Too expensive. Too expensive. This one could be a bot. So we could go AB. Is that 66? It does look like it is. This is a double bottom within a double bottom. I wouldn't fault you if you said, well, Brian, you know what? I'm going to risk this W here. But cheap ass Brian wants to buy down here. So that's a bit of a problem for me psychologically. OXT, I noticed that this OXT seems to move a bit delayed to this ONT. I have no idea if they're related or not. You can see the W trying to form. It's the same sort of thing as the Kusama. I wouldn't be surprised if the two of those are related somehow. And then, of course, the ONT, and it's gone. You've just missed it. You probably could have botted this. One low, two lows, maybe a third low in there. That would be maybe a 4-hour setup. But again, this is not basic stuff. This is a bit more advanced. But this probably would have been a good example for the level 1ers, because you guys basically just learned this setup. If you do want to do the bot off the lower time frame, then it probably looks something along those lines. Where 25, yeah. So one low, two lows. Look at that beautiful double bottom, 3 lows. So that actually looks legit. And you would have been taking profits into this spike up here. And what a surprise, the pullback is basically right to that level. This is actually probably a pretty good example of what they call an alt ABCD. So you can go as high as 1.618 and also 1.272. There's the 1.272. There's the 1.618. Just missed it by a hair, eh? So maybe that means we still have to go up into that level, and that would be on a divergence, which would paint some sort of top. Can't do anything on this now. You've missed the trade. It's over. If anything, that image right there should be a beautiful example of a bot setup. Wow, look at that one. If there ever was a bot, eh? Holy moly. Let's see what the hell this thing looks like. I wouldn't mind actually going there to there. Might be a bit early on this. There to there. Well, okay, that's doable. Nice bull div down at the bottom. Would be nice to see some confirmation on volume here. RSI, the way RSI fans, they love to draw their trend lines. I don't know whether I would go off of something like that or whether I have to go all the way over here. Trying to break out. Ideally, I'd like to see W's on the other sides of this trend line. And of course, Brian's RSI study. Well, that is the 50 line there. Don't really see. I would actually say this is probably your first W. I'd like to see another W here through the 50 line, and then we know this thing's off to the races. So it's close. If anything, you're looking for ideas. I would actually prefer that we do that, is I don't want to tell you something that's as it's happening, it's breaking out, and oh my God, you got to buy it right now. I would rather say, you know what, this thing looks like it's setting up. So now everybody, if you happen to trade these shit coins, bot setup 33, no more than 66. Then we draw that off of the lows. Again, this is like level 1, 101. Bot trades. There is the bot entry. And if I take that double bottom here, front run that trade a little bit, then, fingers crossed that we do cross that 25. Then you're like, awesome. All right, I've taken this trade. It is a W on the other side of the trend line, so that's good. We will be crossing through moving average resistance, so we don't have any moving averages stopping us. So if we get a nice little pop here, you could be sitting in a very, very good, comfortable position here on this thing. And where does that say it wants to go? It wants to go all the way up here to 74. Yeah, I might even just go and buy some of that as a nice demo trade for you guys through the weekend. It's a good looking chart. Chart. I think I heard somebody ask about AAVE the other day. Oh, hello. WWW buy the something. Wow. Man, look how far this thing has fallen. Holy moly. Where the hell's the top? There it is. Have we broken downtrend lines? I think so. That one's definitely broken. Would you go off of that one? I suppose you could. So I would get the impression, really simply put, trend line resistance is now broken. Moving averages, looks like price is trying to sneak its way above all these moving averages. If it can, then that means that's open air all the way up here. You see how and really take a screenshot of this and just note this, right? And say, well, if the 200 period moving average is above price and we get some sort of W, we're probably going to bang into that 200 period moving average and it's going to stop price, because that's what 200 moving average does. You can see it repeatedly. But now, hopefully you can see. I don't know whether I can show you or not. Yeah. Now all those moving averages now are actually support. So if you come in and buy this, and I suppose the really simple trade is just simply buy this W breakout, and I'm going to risk to a break of this low. You actually have you've got all of these moving averages acting as support here, and this key low and this key low. Hell, you might even, if you really want to be cheeky, is work a stink bid, and this would be like a Wyckoff check. Probably what ends up happening here is something like that. They're probably going to pop this top, fire off this double bottom, then it pulls back into support, your Wyckoff check, and into a cluster of moving averages which support price. So, yeah, it's entirely up to you as to what your risk threshold is here. 81 down to 60 is like, what, 20 bucks? Or is that 50? Yeah, it's 50. So it's 30 bucks. That would be like a Joe six-pack kind of risk threshold. You're going to risk about 30-40% of your capital, so keep the bets appropriate. Or you could, consider the, margin trader, leverage trader approach. Going to try and buy on a pullback here into moving average support. You're going to risk against this low, playing this W, and that's buying at 75 and risking to 68. So that's like what, $7-8. That's about 10% risk. That's probably a little bit more palatable. Regardless, I'd pay attention. Interesting too, notice how this high here was actually a higher high. So what did we say earlier about V tops? What should happen with V tops? They should be tested. And interesting enough, if we play connect the dots, believe it or not, this is now trendline resistance on this thing. So first one up into here. Second one all the way up into there. And you could, for fun, right, since this is actually confirmed, you could do Feigenbaum's going this direction. So boom. Oh, there you go. Interesting, 2.618 is a breakout of that level, eh? So if we do break out of this one, you can do Feigenbaum's all the way up there, and oh, hello. So in a weird sort of way, it's like if the market can confirm this big one, then it's telling you it probably wants to go up into this area up here. So be cognizant of that. We could probably also do things like extension studies. So you could go there to there and extensions. Now can you start to see the confluence? I'm a big fan of 127s. I told you earlier. 127.2, good reload zone. What was it? Alt ABCD target levels. 127, this could be a 3 drives pattern as well harmonically, but notice 877's up there, 2.618, and that trend line. So now we're starting to get some serious confluence, and this looks like a level that definitely wants to come into play down the road, right up into there. So, food for thought. I'd be willing to bet that same sort of idea, extensions, probably lines up with this Feigenbaum level here. Notice this is candle body highs for trade location. So if we do extension from here to here, Yeah, there you go. So 4.618, the midpoint of this sweet spot. 1.618 golden ratio is right up into there. You could very easily get a pop all the way up into this parking garage. No reason why you couldn't see that happen up into that window there. And of course, that's against that trend line. So anyway you shape it, sure looks like these things are pointing higher, right? So go figure.